All right, so I'm gonna go through Sicilienne by Faure, Op.78. And Faure wrote a good amount of piano music, and this piece was not known to me when it was brought to me. So I'm actually going to share this to the student online playlist, and so maybe somebody else can get some use out of it as well. But just a few things about it. One is we're in the key of G minor, right? And it's a pretty simple melody. It repeats quite a bit, and the melody at the beginning is this. And that's basically it. And then in the middle section, we get to E flat major. Okay, so we introduce then A flat into the key signature. So now instead of two flats, we have three flats in the key signature for the key of E flat major. And we get a new melody and a new material. And then at the end, what's interesting about the last page, I just played through it for the first time just a few minutes ago. It's the end of this, and I'm kind of learning it basically right now. But what I thought was really cool about it was that he merged kind of all the elements that I thought kind of made it unique in that how it got out of G minor at the beginning. So one of the ways that he got out of G minor at the beginning in that melody was in measure 4. He does this. That's a really cool effect. So he goes into C major. He rather than C minor, he uses the major 4. So we expected, I think, this. Which would be the minor 4, which is more common, right? Because it just uses the E flat like the key signature says. So that's unique. And then he goes into the E flat major in the middle, so that also takes it out of G minor. But what's cool about this is at the very end of the piece, we get all this kind of new material, and he introduces some of these, reintroduces some of these harmonies that came into the piece. The E flat major, which has the E flat major key, which has the A flat in it, and also some of that E natural from the beginning of the piece that took it out of G minor. So pay attention to that, because I think that's really clever, a way of kind of pulling all of this together. So it doesn't just feel like you're just doing what sounds good, but he's really gluing all the pieces together that came before. A flat. Now we're here, we get kind of this E flat major, and then back to G minor. Sort of, right? Still feels a little bit like E flat major, and then back to G minor. A flat, so back to E flat major, G minor. So he basically, the piece is kind of a very long A B A form, G minor for a long time, and then E flat major in the middle, which is new material, and then back to G minor. But at the end, he goes back and forth between the key changes of G minor and E flat very fast. Sort of like a summary, basically, at the end of the piece of what he's already done in terms of those key changes. And then at the very end, he does this. There's that E natural, and then it's like, no, we're gonna go E flat. And then he's like, no, E natural. So it's kind of like he's just pointing out some of the clever things that he's done along the way, and I thought that was kind of cool. I like when composers do that. Like he could have just ended with the A material again, but he really pulled it all together by this last page. So it's really fun to kind of work through that just a few moments ago and discover those things. I'm sure there's other important things here, but again, didn't practice this a ton. I really just read through it once. So I'm going to go really slow. And the point of this was to help Sue kind of make sure some of the fingering's good. I'll try to use the best fingering that I can see as an option as I read through it. And just to make sure like a lot of the rhythm's solid for her. So that was kind of the point here. Anyway, here we go. Should have been 2 F sharps. me do that. I'm just going to stop there for a second. So I think the left hand has an important role here as a melody. So it's kind of similar to what was introduced earlier on in the piece with the right hand. So give me 1 second. From the left hand here into the right. See the double stem notes. Okay, so a few little mistakes in there, but again, I was just reading through it, and I think just looking back on it, the fingering, I'd probably substitute a little bit more in the right hand, especially. So as I was reading through, I kind of did, I got a little stuck there, and I remember talking to you about it last week. That it'd be a good idea to sub out, I think, to your thumb or another finger. So let's see. So here I do 1, 2, sub my thumb, 2, 3, sub my thumb, and then 4, and then 5 here. I think that's a good solution. 4, 3, 1, sub out my 5, and then I bring 3, 1, and sub out to my 5. And then 3, 5, 1, 4. That just offers the better connection. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Cool piece. It probably eventually should be a little faster. So it's weird. It's dotted quarter equals 32 beats per minute, which is ridiculous you can't count that. So so it means it's around 90 for the 8th, right? So let's check that out. What does he say there? So let's say it's about let's say 100 for the 8th, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. This is performance tempo. 6, 1. actually not too far away from that. All right, I've got somebody at my door, so I'm gonna go.